Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Let's talk crypto. And if you clicked on this based off of what I think the title is going to be, you probably know I'm going to talk about Quant. So I got overly excited, or I was told it's overly excited. I think it's justified, but it doesn't actually matter. When the news the other week came out about how the European Central Bank is going to officially have running their digital euro by October. Read into a little bit more, and it was that the next phase of testing is going to be fully running by the end of October, early November. But what the next phase is really important. It's not trial anymore in terms of let's make sure that this ledger works, that blockchain works, we have the algorithm and the ISO and all that stuff done and set. The next phase is that they're going to do live test runs of a few banks to banks, individuals to banks, and just doing the interoperability live on a ledger or blockchain with other real entities. That hasn't happened yet. And that's what they're going to start doing in late October, early November. The part that got me so effing excited is that for them to do that, they have to choose and officially announce which blockchain or ledger they're going to do this all on. And that's where I just got a little too excited and just doubled down on Quant essentially, because I do fully believe that most of Europe is going to use Quant's overledger. And having the European Central Bank announce it or run the euro is probably one of the top four things that could help or boost a CBDC coin or something that's going to be running digital currency, right? U.S. digital dollar would be a huge one. Bank of International Settlements, which is also kind of right there with Quant, that might be the largest one because the Bank of International Settlements trickles down onto essentially every central or federal bank. I'm not saying that would happen, but dear God, please let me be able to say that's going to happen. So for my price predictions, which I count, if I say it's going to hit the top of whatever number, I mean, when we see that candle up, really sharp up, really sharp down, where was it at the top? Not necessarily where there's liquidity to buy and sell. But I had on the bearish, and this was over a year ago, and I came up with this thought for me was 400 for Quant on the bearish side, realistic 675, bullish 950 or so. So I'm not in the camp that Quant this bull run is going to hit 1,500 or 2,500 or 10 grand. I can't see that happening if ... I'm going to talk about the ifs in this video because this was enough news that had me really thinking, well, they might expedite the stuff a little faster. And Quant really doesn't advertise to retail. Quant does industrial only, which is why it doesn't really go in line with Bitcoin and a lot of the other altcoins, where in the community there's a lot of, Quant just does its own damn thing, guys. It hit at the end, essentially after everything else last run, because it really is different people that's buying and selling it. So the price predictions, or I don't want to call it that, the price thoughts and anything I'm going to come up with and give you the rationale as to why or how I came up with them, they might not take an effect this bull run. It might be in the bear market, which actually very well could, depending on which CBDCs come up and start running, etc. So let's do the quick little thing right here. And I'll get into it of when I said I increase my price predictions, I mean, I will if certain things happen. Where do I get these certain things from? So this isn't even a spoiler at this point in the video. It's going to be if certain countries or entities pick up the overledger for their CBDC other uses. So where I got this thought from was, other than just thinking about crypto in general, is I hopped on ChatGPT, all right? And before you start getting, oh my God, is he getting price prediction from ChatGPT? No, I am not. Don't do that, by the way, guys. I mean, if you do, let me know if it works for you. But I was talking to ChatGPT just to get an idea of, I like their statistics because they pull out percentages and statistics from data. It may or may not be accurate. But the thought process was there, and I didn't disagree with most of this. I ended up asking ChatGPT, what are the statistical odds or chances that Quant Overledger will be used for CBDCs? And in this little conversation with ChatGPT, it asked me one question like, "Do you want me to go into specific CBDCs or this stuff?" And I answered. I put this whole conversation, by the way, on X. And if I think about it, maybe I'll put it in the community section. I don't really have a community section yet, but I can start building that up, I guess, if people want to start looking at it. But regardless, I have the link for the entire conversation I had, so you can see where this information came from and what questions I asked, etc. But by its thoughts, it's AI, right? Bank of England's digital pound, the Britcoin. I know that's what they call it. That's almost adorable. Anyway, he said probability 50 to 70%, moderate high, that Quant's overledger will be used for the Britcoin, the digital pound. And it said a little bit why, about how Quant participated in the Bank of England's CBDC consultation roundtable a year ago, 2023, I think, 2022. Gilbert Veridian previously worked at the Bank of England. His networking runs deep, guys. The CEO, Gilbert Veridian, is one of the many, but a large reason why I like Quant so much. The UK digital pound design emphasized about interoperability. And I mean, that could kind of be a lot, but it was an overused term back a couple of years back when there wasn't too much of that going on. And they went ahead with the European Central Bank, so the digital euro. This they marked at 40 to 60%, again, in the moderate range. And they said reasons why it's relevant is that the Nexi Group, which is one of Europe's largest payment providers, is a partner of Quant. And Nexi is actively involved in creating the digital euro, the whole development behind it. So they drink with the same people, so to speak. That's always good news. And Overledger, imagine if it got the Bitcoin and the euro. The more of these similar entities, or just say if we could get all of Europe, how cool would that be? It would be easier for one system because it can just run everything. One of the challenges could end up being that they might go or favor solutions that are from larger European fintech firms or existing frameworks like the Hyperledger BECU or Corda, or ones already tied into the government. And that's a strong possibility. I think that's very likely that the US is going to do it with their digital dollar and use their FedNow service, which is a blockchain interoperability system that's not a blockchain, but already ran by the US Treasury. Regardless, they could always choose something like that. But Quant is still given over a 50% chance. So then there's the Bank for International Settlements, BIS, which has me by far the most excited. And they have a couple different CBDC projects, and Overledger could be used in one or both to different facets. And ChatGPT marked it at 30 to 50% and 20 to 40% for these two different projects called Project Icebreaker and Project Enbridge. Project Icebreaker was more about focusing on cross-border transactions through CBDCs, so they would need something with strong interoperability for this. And then Project Enbridge was more on expanding global use. And they already have China's digital yuan, not yen, different term, but already using China's digital form for this a little bit, and it's live. However, BIS is still testing other CBDC bridges. Overledger could fill in for all of that as well. And there's always the Australia, Reserve Bank of Australia, for their CBDC pilot. They've already practiced or trial run a little bit on Overledger. They also have with Hedera as well. But Gilbert Veridian, again, somehow this man has ties to Australian government. They've talked, they've trial ran it, and ChatGPT puts that also to 30 to 50% chance. This is the one that in my mind, is kind of already done for Latin America, their Inter-American Development Bank, to have an Inter-American Development Bank digital CBDC. They've kind of already announced this one as far as I understand, but ChatGPT put it at 60 to 80%, but partnered with this group as a blockchain initiative to be able to start moving the CBDC for a lot of Latin America. This would be for exploring the idea of CBDCs and stablecoins for cross-border settlements anywhere in Latin America. So it hits several countries all at once. Let alone Latin America is considered currently the fastest growing CBDC adopter. Sorry. So that's really big too. Latin America would be the smallest one in terms of one, hype, and then two, money that comes in. but you get one, more tend to follow. So then after that little part of ChatGPT's question asked me, would you like to know specific odds for different CBDCs and price predictions for it? And that's where I figured, why the hell not? Right. And again, for the most part, I agree with all of this. And I will raise my price predictions if some of these things start to happen, not directly to what ChatGPT says. Again, I'm here for Quant for the long haul. So I don't really care what the price prediction is. Unless Quant gets up to about $700 and $900, I'm not selling any of it. Not this bull run. And if it does hit around 7 to 900, I'll sell some just to rebuy more of it at a cheaper price so I can have more of it. I'm looking at this one for several years down the road. However, ChatGPT did talk to me a little bit on this one. So, small scale CBDC adoption, meaning of one or two countries, depending on the size of them join, it expects an estimated price effect from whatever the current levels at the time to be from 30% to 100% gain. Right. This is an example of if it gets fully adopted with the Latin America chain or another smaller European country like Estonia or Switzerland. I know Switzerland's huge, but GDP wise. So we have a small gain from that, and small gain from that. Next was if there's a major CBDC partnership like UK, EU, the Bank of International Settlements, or other like multiple small chains. And this really said 200 to 500% gain, potentially pushing Quant into the $500 to $1,000 range. The impact of the institutional FOMO would kick in at this point, which, the Bank of International Settlements or just Bank of England hops in. Fuck yeah, institutional FOMO would kick in. Quant would gain legitimacy instantly as an infrastructure provider for financial systems and CBDCs. And depending on the price range, 200 to 500% gain. I actually think it could be a little higher. Again, it depends where we're at. Is Quant still at $75 to $90 at that point, or is it already at 150, 200? But just news like this alone, calling it right now at 75 current price roundabout, yeah, I could see that jumping it up into the several hundreds within a couple of weeks at most, because then retail is all of a sudden going to give a shit. Then they gave for a global CBDC standard, so multiple large economies adopt the overledger. This one I do not think is going to happen without an effing chance this bull run. This is maybe a couple years down the road after they get one or two. This is when Quant would play a role in Bank of International Settlements, Bridge, and the digital euro, and multiple other CBDCs like the Australian dollar and Latin American, and maybe a little side project for another one. This is where they're saying it would 10x or more with Quant reaching 2,000 plus. And that's what they call it, like 2,000 plus. Because at this point, their impact would be mass adoption, where Quant becomes essential for transactions between CBDCs and private banking networks. So if you get two or three large, again, BIS, EU, and Bank of England, those are three realistic that they could all come together. This is that situation they're talking about. This could make it in that $2,000+ range. And again, I don't think that would be this year. I think it'd be closer to sometime between now and 2028, because CBDCs would have to be more routine and regular at that point. Okay, I'm not here mood boying saying by Thanksgiving we're going to have a $2,000 Quant. No, I don't see that as realistic whatsoever. But I'll gladly eat my words if it happens. Not a problem. And the last one is full-scale financial integration. This is the one that those who are really all over legends and all about Quant believe this is going to go to. I believe it can, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the overledger is going to be the mainstay or the basis for CBDCs for like 50% or more of the world. But in that situation, let's say if overledger becomes fully integrated, right? So it's being used with Swift, Visa, MasterCard, other major banks doing cross-border CBD settlements, then where it's now part of the normal currency, right? Well, the thing about the American dollar is important everywhere, right? Like I went to Greece and they still took the American dollar. Anywhere in Europe, you pretty much can still use the American dollar. If overledger becomes that kind of equivalent, then we're talking 5,000 plus long term, and ChatGPT even says possibly pushing Quant into Ethereum level valuations. And And I don't disagree really with any of that. I just want to be firm on the time frame for some of these. The ones I think is realistic to happen during this bull run is if it gets integrated with up to like 3 large CBDCs. But I don't see too many other countries running that quickly for the CBDC. That's why I think in the next 5 to 10 years, yes, I think we're going to have at least a $1,200 quant. Um, and I'm planning for it, to be completely honest. But that's the information that I had. It just got me to dive a little deeper and get a little bit more re-excited over Quant, because a lot of us has been looking at Quant for a long period of time. And just like those of us that held HBAR or those that held XRP, just kind of stuck in the trenches for a while. So this kind of news is phenomenal, and it now are seeing it happen. And I'm excited for whenever it is before October that they announce it. And if it ends up being Quant over Ledger, which I do think it will be, I'll be doing another video, probably be mostly just dancing. We can all just make our way to cash out everything, and we'll go meet on an island somewhere. But guys, that's it for today. Thank you very much. Fighting Crypto out.